Hello everyone. So today we are going to talk about what exactly are the command words or the tail words, because these command words and the tail words are very important to understand. Based on the interpretation of these command words, we are going to frame the answer, or even you can say the structuring of the answer, because after going through so many copies, right, last year, especially the copies of those students who have given 2-3 mains, or even the rankers copies also. And I have come to know that there are so much of confusion when it comes to the interpretation of the question. And if you will not be able to interpret these command words, you will find your answers are becoming monotonous, right? Because whenever you see the question, there is only one framework we get in our mind. That is, like after introducing the, writing the introduction, what we do? We write the significance, challenges, way forward, and we conclude our answer. But apart from that, what should be the focus area, right? If you are writing the significance, if you are writing the challenges, within that framework, what kind of content is required? Does it require case studies? Does it require facts, examples, your opinion? All these aspects in your answers should be based on these keywords or the tail words, right? So in this session, I have picked up the most important command words which UPSC usually use to frame the question. And let me tell you one more thing. I have picked up just one question. Okay. In that one question, I will show you how the structuring of the answer will change. If the keyword or the command word is analysis, if it is comment, if it is evaluate, illustrate, how the structuring will change, what kind of content you need to write. All those things we are going to see in this session, right? So let's begin with, so command words are the directives in a question that determine the approach and the structure of your answer, right? So now all of you, if you would have written the mains, right, you might understand the importance of the structuring of the answer, right? Structuring is something which can help you to fetch 1 mark extra in each and every answer, right? And practically, to be very frank with you, I have seen last year when I used to mentor the seniors, the students in the senior batch, I used to focus only on the structuring. I used to structure the answer based on the tail word, the keyword, the statement, right? So I'll talk about all those aspects tomorrow in the webinar, which I'll be taking for the senior batch. But here we are going to focus on only the tail word, right? So as far as the tail word is concerned, it basically decides what kind of a structuring you have to use, right, in your answer. And I'll show you with the example. So basically, there are 2 kinds of tail words, right? One is descriptive and another is critical command word. Don't get confused with the critical command word, because critically means or you can say critical command words are not necessarily that it should have a critically word attached, right? So let me give you just a brief about it so that it will make more sense. Okay, so basically there are 2 kinds of command words, right? One is descriptive and another one is critical command word, right? Descriptive command words are those command words where you just need to give or write description. Description means whatever you see, only that aspect. You don't have to apply the logic. You don't have to apply the logic, why it is happening, what will be its impact, right? How does it influence the society? Like, you don't have to assess anything, right? So descriptive means basically you just have to explain the things. Whatever you see, you just have to explain. Or you can say in the simple terms, you don't have to consider or you don't have to address both the sides of the coin. Both the sides of the coin means, suppose if we are talking about any particular policy, right? So usually what kind of question do you see in the question paper? You talk about the significance. Then you talk about the challenges or issues. You give the solution or the way forward. You assess the policy, right? or you evaluate the success or the progress, right? But in the if the command words are descriptive, you don't have to think about all these things. What are those descriptive command words? The descriptive command words are like, for example, describe, right? Or explain, right? Enumerate, right? These are basically what? These are all descriptive command words, right? For example, if I ask you, can you describe what kind of house you own, right? Or can you describe what kind of clothing you prefer? Or if suppose your friends go to a mall and if you ask him, hey, get me a jacket, right? It's a winter season and I wanted to buy a jacket, but I did not get a time. So can you buy me a jacket? Your friend will ask you, hey, can you explain me what kind of jacket you require? So you will give the very simple description about the jacket, right? That it should be like the color of the jacket should be black, right? It should be half sleeve or full sleeve. You are not going to talk about why I need black color, why I require half sleeve jacket, right? You are not going into the argument or logical argument, right? You will just give him the description, right? So that is the all these command words. There are many other command words as well, which are descriptive, but these are the main one. For example, enumerate, explain, describe, all these, right? However, the most important command words are the critical command words. Critical command words are those where logical thinking is required, right? Logical thinking means you have to basically address both the sides of the situation. And since critically, just let me ask you one thing. If someone asks you a question, right, or if you read, or if you are suppose reading any particular book and someone asks you, can you critically analyze the story? Can you critically analyze the content? Right? So what exactly do? You just try to think about each and every aspect, whether it's benefit, whether there are challenges, issues, everything, right? So critical command words are the most important command words which UPSC actually use to frame the question. And let me tell you one important thing as well. If there would not be a scope of any critical analysis, chances are very less UPSC will ask the question, right? In history question, chances are very high that UPSC may use the descriptive command words. Otherwise, most of the questions in GS paper 2, 3, 4 are basically based on these critical command words. I hope this is clear, right? But the problem is when the question is critical command words. For example, discuss, analyze, examine, comment, right? How many of you are comfortable in explaining what exactly are the differences? Everyone knows. Either I will write the I will start with the significance in main body. I will talk about the challenges, limitations, right, or issues, and I will give some suggestions, and I will give way forward. Conclude my answer. This is a very general, like, you cannot say this is a structuring of the answer. This is just a broad framework, right? Within this framework, what should be the structuring? That is depend on these command words. This is a broad framework which we uses, right? Especially in GS paper 2 and 3. But where to give more weightage in your answer? Are you going to talk more about challenges? Are you going to talk about facts more in your answer? Are you going to talk about the case studies? Right? So all these aspects in your answer depends on these tailword, which we are going to see. So I will show you one question, okay? And based on that, I'll show you how we can basically going to frame the answer of that particular question based on different command words or the tail words, right? So this critical does not mean critically. In the last slide, I will explain you what exactly means when the question is specifically use critically word before these command words: critically discuss, critically analyze, critically examine, critically comment, critically evaluate, right? So I hope this is clear. Now let's see what is that question. Okay, so the question is, despite comprehensive policies for equity and social justice, underprivileged sections are not yet getting the full benefits of affirmative actions envisaged by the Constitution. I have deleted the command word. Usually I think this question is from previous years, last year. It's a previous year's question, okay? And the command word was comment here, right? Now we are going to see what should be the structure of this answer based on various tail word: discuss, analyze, examine, like this. Right? So before we proceed further, I would like to ask you, if you would have to answer this question, right? Whether it is comment, analyze, discuss, what would be your structure? Right? So despite comprehensive policies for equity and social justice. So as soon as you read this question, you know that the very first demand of the question is you are going to talk about what are the various policies for equity and social justice. That is the first demand of the question. That is exactly how you break down the demand. That is how you structure your answer, right? And for underprivileged sections are not yet getting the full benefit of affirmative action. So first you will talk about the policies, right? First you will talk about the policies. Within the policies, what are the issues because of which these underprivileged sections are not getting the full benefit, and you will talk about the suggestions and then way forward. Conclusion, right? That is a structure. Now just imagine, student, in every answer, if you are going to follow the same pattern, don't you think it becomes very monotonous for the evaluator? It's not only about you. Everyone is following the same structure because they are not giving any importance to the tail word. That is the problem, right? So, and according to that, evaluator gives you the marks, right? That is the reason why many people struggle to increase their score in the mains. Personally, I have seen, it is not about the content, right? If suppose you are a senior student, if you have already given 2-3 mains or maybe interview, just ask yourself, don't you find it difficult to score 0.51 marks extra in each and every answer? Have you thought of how to increase the marks? And if you have thought about it, what do? You just focus on the content. I will enrich my content. I will further, or you will start looking for good notes, value addition points, which is fine. But how to use this content? This is the most important point, right? Literally, I'm telling you, this is my personal experience after talking with so many rankers and the senior students. They have a very good content. But when it comes to the structuring of the answer or when it comes to the application of this content, they are lagging. Why? Because they are not giving focus, or they are not giving importance to the structuring of the answer or the tail word or the command word, right? And I'll show you how all these aspects are very, very important, right? So let's begin with this. And one more thing, student, tomorrow I'll be taking a live webinar for the senior students. Last year we got a very good result from 2024 batch. So we are going to start senior batch, and tomorrow I'll be taking the webinar where I'll be talking about all the components. More importantly, I'll explain how we are going to implement the strategy, right? So try to attend that. If you have been struggling to increase your marks in the mains, that session is for you. Definitely you will get a lot of insight, okay? And after the session, you can also come up with your notes, your copies. Personally, I'll be there in Vajiram building and I'll be talking with you guys, okay? So let's begin with this. So now the first command word is discuss. What exactly is a discuss? Discuss means present multiple perspectives, highlighting arguments for and against, right? So now, as you all know, discuss is the critical command word, right? But let me tell you, not always. Not always, okay? Though I have mentioned it in the list of, even I put it under the category of critical command word, but actually it is not always, and I'll show you why. See, discuss is basically, it's a hybrid command word. Hybrid command word. I will come to the important part after explaining this hybrid concept. Okay, so just focus on this. Why it is hybrid? Because it is also used as, or this discuss tail word is also considered as a descriptive command word, and it is also considered as a critical command word. But in order to decide whether it should be used as a first one or second one, you should read the question very carefully. For example, there are two questions. Question number one is, discuss the importance or discuss the features of Indian Constitution. Right? This is one question. Second question is, discuss the relevance of. Discuss the relevance of Rajya Sabha. Right? Discuss the relevance of Rajya Sabha in the contemporary time, or in the contemporary times. In both the question I have used discuss, right? Now do you think the approach or the structuring of this, both the question will be same? Because if you are going to structure this question, what are you going to talk about? You are going to talk about the significance of Rajya Sabha, right? However, it may not be relevant because there are some issues in the functioning of Rajya Sabha, and then you may provide some suggestions to improve the functioning of democratic institutions, in which the Rajya Sabha is also one institution, right? But if you have to structure the demand, or if you have to understand the demand of this question, can you apply this the same? Do you think you are going to apply the same template for your answer? Tell me. I think no. So when you are interpreting the demand of this question, it should be descriptive. However, in the second question, when you are addressing or when you are considering the discuss command word, it should be critical. So that is the reason why I say discuss is the hybrid tail word or the command word. I hope this is clear, right? Now, let's come to the main point. So as far as the question was concerned, what is discuss? Present multiple perspective highlighting arguments for and against. Broad focus. See, where is the focus? It's a broad coverage of viewpoints and ideas, right? Argument for the policies, arguments against or limitations. I'm talking in the context of the question which I have asked. The effectiveness of the policy, right, in ensuring for the inclusive development of the underprivileged section, right? So we need to talk about argument for the policies with examples, arguments or against or limitations, balanced conclusion. What is the key aspect? It should be comprehensive coverage. Now let me give you an analogy to understand what exactly is the discuss command word, right? Suppose you become an IAS officer tomorrow and you go to, or suppose you're one of the minister in the state asks you to share the urban or you can say the report on the urban planning or the waste management, right? Because obviously being a minister, he really wants to discuss the issue of waste management in the city. And being a district magistrate, it is your responsibility, right? So what exactly are you going to discuss with the minister or with your seniors? So you will be talking about every possible angle, right? You will be talking about every possible angle. Every possible angle means, like, for example, you will be talking about what are the issues, right? What steps the government or what steps you have been taking or the government has taken, right? You will also talk about the challenges, because even after applying the suggestions or the steps, there are still challenges. You will also suggest some solution, right? So basically, you are going to talk about everything, but you are not going to discuss why. You are not going to get in minute things. Minute things means you will not be focusing on case studies. You might not be focusing on data and all. Minute data I'm talking about, right? You might not be considering the environmental factor, right? Your concern might be based, or it might be only focusing on the localized issue, right? So discuss is basically holistic, comprehensive coverage of the topic without getting into the minute details, right? So that is how you present yourself on any particular issue in front of your seniors, right? I think this is clear. So discussion is just a general discussion of everything. For example, second analogy is, suppose you go to a doctor, right? You discuss your problem with the doctor, right? And based on the discussion, he gives you prescription, he asks you to go for the test, blood report and all, everything. That part will come later, right? So I hope this is clear. So if the question is based on certain issues, relevance, it should be used as a critical command word. Otherwise, if the demand of the question is very straightforward, like we have seen, you should be using it as a descriptive command word. I hope this is clear. Now, let's see what is the next command word. Next is examine, right? What is examine? Examine means inspect critically, evaluate evidence, determine strength and weakness. It focuses on critical inspection of policies, highlighting positive and negative. Now, many of you will ask, positive and negative. What exactly is the positive and negative? Positive and negative means strength, right? And weakness. what is the strength and what is the weakness. After that, you have to talk about the challenges. For example, in that question, you are going to talk about the various constitutional provisions, right? It says you need to critically evaluate the evidences. So what are the evidences to enforce the policy for the underprivileged section, right? So you are going to talk about the strength, right? Then you are going to talk about the weaknesses. Then challenges. Why challenges? Many of you are confused when we have already talked about the weaknesses. Why are we talking about the challenges, right? But let me tell you one thing. Challenges, why are we talking about? For example, just try to understand this concept very carefully. Otherwise, it is very difficult to draw a line between the analysis and the examine. Suppose there is government policy, right? This policy will have some significance. This will have some issues as well. Or you can say limitations, right? Or loopholes. Okay? If the question would have been discussed, we would have ended the answer here after writing the suggestion. In examine, what we are going to do? In examine, we are going to talk about the challenges. Now, what is the difference? Let me give you one simple example. For example, there is waste management rule. Waste management rule in India. Right? The government has released a waste management rule in India. It will have some significance, right? There might be some issues in these rules, right? For example, let me take example, very simple example. For example, the penalties. Penalties are less. And because of this, no one is adhering to these rules. So this is an issue within the policy itself, right? Because of which the waste management rules are not effective, right? Now when we are examining the issue, when we are examining this particular issue, there are further challenges which hinders the implementation of these rules, and that challenges are nothing but think from the society perspective, your individual attitude perspective, technological perspective, right? Technological perspective. These are some challenges which we are facing when we are going to implement these rules. And that is what examine is all about. I hope this is clear to you, right? So this is what I have said. Strength, weaknesses, challenges and countering arguments. Way forward, then you have to conclude. So the key aspect is through scrutiny with a balanced tone, right? Now, let me connect this examine with the analogy of doctor, right? When you go to a doctor, you discuss your problem, right? He examines your entire body, right? He will ask you, what did you eat? Since when you are facing this problem? Since when you are having this issue? He will start examining everything, right? And after that, he will suggest you go for these particular tests, right? Vitamin test, you can say blood test, RBC count, WPC count. He will suggest you a number of tests, KFT, LFT and all, right? So he is examining your entire body, right? To identify the root cause of this issue. He may also tell you, okay, if you are walking on a daily basis, if you are running, it's a good thing also, right? Because of this only the severity of issue or this disease is less, right? So these are the thing. I hope examine is clear. Now let's move on to the next part. Next tailword. The next tailword is analyze, right? Analyze means break the issue into components, examine each aspect. Now what exactly is this? Breaking the issue into components, examine each aspect, logical examination of why policies are not delivering benefits. Why policies are not delivering benefits. Now many of you will ask, so the same thing we have discussed in the examination. We talked about the challenges, we talked about the issues, right? But in analysis, we are going to talk about each and every rule. Each and every rule itself. Let me explain it in a more clear term. For example, as far as that question was concerned, in that question, we will talk about the breakdown first. It says break the issues, right? There are legal framework, then there are implementational challenges, socio-economic factors, link between policies and the outcomes, right? Now, how it is different than the examine, try to understand this. Try to understand this, okay? The point which we need to understand here is, in analyze, just focus on this, okay? You have to establish the cause and effective. Cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. What is it, cause and effect relationship? Cause means, for example, that like I'm considering that question, waste management rule question, right? If there are, or if the rules are weak, if the rules are weak, those are the causes. Weak rules are the causes. And when the rules will be weak, don't you think it will have some effect? Definitely it will have some effect, right? That is what we have to establish in the analysis command word. When the analysis question is based on this particular command word, we have to focus on cause and effect relationship. And that is one thing, cause and effect. Another thing is breakdown. Break down the issue or the topic or the thesis. Let me give you one more analogy. Let me connect this analysis word with that analogy of the doctor-patient. You go to, you visit the doctor, you discuss your issues, he examines your bodies and all, right? Your report, everything. What he does, then he start analyzing each and every component in your report. He will start analyzing each and every component of your report. And based on that, he will prescribe, right? So he may tell you, based on your report, vitamin A is good, but there is iron deficiency. And because of this iron deficiency, you are having some problem, right? In your body, there is a deficiency of B12. Because of this, you are getting headache and all, right? So this is the cause he will identify, and what are the effect? This is exactly what we need to establish in analysis. Here we are, see how it is different than the examine. We are not looking, if suppose this is a report, we are not going beyond the report. We are just breaking down the components of this report only. So if I have to apply this in the rules management question, waste management rules, I will not think about the society and all. I will try to find out the issues within the rules itself. I will try to break down each and every component, right? That is what you need to understand, right? So that is what I have written. You are going to break down the legal framework as far as that question is concerned, implementation challenges, socio-economic factors, and link between policies and outcome. Outcome is what? It is the effect. Effect can be positive and negative. And that is the reason why it is a critical command word. When the question says analyze, don't you write significance and challenges? You write. But when you write significance and challenges, make sure there is cause and effect relationship. Right? Most of the time what happens, I have seen in the copies, you just end up with writing the causes only. You don't highlight the effect. Sometimes you highlight the effect, but you don't tell the causes. Trust me, this is the level of mentoring we are conducting for in Short Means program. When we discuss, we focus on the tail word. We focus on the keyword of the question, right? So don't forget to attend the webinar tomorrow. It will be live on YouTube. You can also attend offline as well, right? Now, I hope this is clear. So we will move on to the next tail word. Assess. Evaluate the effectiveness of something considering its pros and cons. It is not about the pros and cons. It is not about pros and cons. It is about effectiveness of something considering its pros and cons. Assess. Assess means, for example, again let me connect with the analogy. Right? You go to a doctor, he analyzes, examines, everything is done. He will give you some prescription, right? He will give you some prescription and after 20 days, he will call you, right? Now, in the prescription, he will talk about the medication, right? Medication will have some pros. And there might be some issues as well, which might be unresolved. Even after taking the medicine, you might not be feeling completely healthy, right? So, it is about assessing. So, after 20 days, if you go to the doctor, after 20 days, if you go to the doctor, he will not analyze your report. He will not discuss the issue. What he will do? He will assess the impact, or he will assess the situation again. Like what has been impact of this medication on your health, right? So that is what I have written here. Highlight how far the policies have succeeded or failed. How far the policies have succeeded or failed. So what are we going to focus on? Success, example. Failure, regional imbalances. Judgment. Now, this part is very important. Because when the doctor will be evaluating or when doctor will be assessing your health, he will give you the judgment. And that is the important part, judgment. Are the policies meeting their objectives? And this component is always missing in many copies. And this is the reason because we don't have clear-cut understanding about these tail words. Right? So judgment has to be there. After assessing any particular situation, any particular issues, if this part is missing in your answer, how would you get good marks? And then you have to give suggestions for the further improvement. I hope this part is clear to you. If you're not really sure how judgment could be provided and all, definitely you can bring your answers to me. That is what we are doing in Sure Shot program as well. And especially the seniors, you have to focus on this. If you really want to increase your score by 0.5 marks, 1 marks, you have to do this. You have to consider all these aspects in your answer writing. And it is not only about the answer writing, student. Try to understand. This will also going to enhance your notes as well, right? So that is what I always say. Answer writing and notes making both complement each other. Because after writing the answer, you will come to us, we will give you some suggestions. We will assess your performance. We will evaluate your answers, right? I'll come to that evaluate wala part as well. So, based on that, you will go back to your notes and you will make some changes, right? I hope this is clear. Now, let's move on to the next command word, that is evaluate, right? Make a judgment after weighing evidence and provide a verdict. What does it evaluation means, right? Let me give you a very simple analogy here. After joining the Sure Shot means, what do? You submit, you write the answer, you submit your copies, right? And we evaluate them. Now let me ask you one thing. If we are not going to give you marks, are you not going to feel that it is injustice, or are you not going to complain that marks has not been allotted in each and every answer? Right? So it is not an evaluation itself. So based on which aspect we can say the evaluation is done? What evaluation actually highlights? That is more judgment oriented than assess, with strong evidence supporting your verdict. In your answer sheet, we will give you the marks, right? For example, see, in the answers, right, assessment is comment, the comment which we provide, right? How do we comment? Introduction is not good or introduction is not contextual, right? You need to add, or your conclusion is not based on some or broad objective. This is the comment we are giving you. This is assessment. Evaluation is 5 marks we are giving you out of 10. 4 marks out of 10. This is more objective because it is supported by the facts. Are you getting my point? It is supported by strong evidence. So, strong evidence is required when the question says evaluate. Otherwise, the final outcome of the assessment will not get clear. The final outcome of the assessment will not be clear without evaluation. Right? So, that is what I have written. Quantitative and qualitative outcome. Limitations, inequality, persistent, elite, capture of the benefits. So, this is as far as that question is concerned. Verdict. Are affirmative action policies yielding the intended result? Now, this verdict part is also very important. Because when we evaluate your copies, we also give the final verdict. And final verdict is your macro comment. You need to work on this. Introduction part. You need to work on the structuring. You have to focus on holistic understanding about the topics. That is a verdict. And our verdict is based on the marks which you are getting. Right? So that is a very simple analogy. I hope you will never forget this concept in your life. Right? So key aspects which you need to take away is firm judgment backed up by evidence. Evidence. So if you are talking about significance, benefits, or issues in any policies, you need to back up with strong evidence. I hope this is clear. Right? Now, let's let me move on to the next topic. Comment. Comment is a very broad everything, like it's like a commentary. It cannot, see, commentary means, I always give this analogy to my students. Do you watch the cricket? If you watch the cricket, you must have heard the commentary. What does commentators do, right? They just give they share their opinion, right? But that opinion should not be vague. That is important to understand, right? If you are giving the opinion, make sure it makes sense. It makes sense. It should be backed up by the logical argument. It can be backed up by or it could be supported by some facts, numbers, examples, case studies, anything. Your opinion can be unique also. Your opinion can be unique also, right? So express your opinion balanced with evidence, examples. Provide an overview highlighting key issues and state your judgment. For example, in that question, current situation and challenges, opinion with examples. See? Now, when you are attempting the answer, you are not need to mention this, in my opinion, this policy should be implemented. No, it's not like that. When you are framing this statement, that opinion should be highlighted in your content itself. I'm not saying your opinion has to be unique. Your opinion might be influenced as well, but it should sound like. So comment is broad. Comment is broad. And in comments only, the evaluator will judge to what extent you can think about any particular issues, about any particular problem. This is the area where you have a scope to highlight your opinion and then give brief conclusion. So key aspect is balanced perspective with emphasis on opinion. So when you are writing, see, even in the comments also, you are going to talk about the significance. You are going to talk about the challenges. You are going to give suggestions, right? But make sure the points which you are writing are not very generic point, which everyone is writing. So if you see the question, the comment, it should strike in your mind, yes, it's a comment, I can have freedom to share my opinion, but opinion should not be vague. It should be practical in the nature. So I'll talk about this along with these general common points which everyone will be writing. I am going to share my opinion as well. I hope this is clear, right? Now, next, let's see what is the tail word. It's illustrate. Illustrate means explain the issue with the help of example, data, or case studies. Use examples to clarify why benefits are not reaching the underprivileged. So illustrate is more about factual again. As it says, key aspect, use of examples and evidence. This is extremely important. Use of examples and evidence to strengthen your argument. So if you find, because many students have asked me the question, sir, do we need examples, data, facts in every point? Answer is this. If the question says illustrate, yes, you have to focus more on examples. You have to focus more on evidence. Use data from the reports like NSSO, Niti Aayog, case studies. Right? That is how you illustration command word. Right? Now, I'm not going into the depth. I think this is enough. Just one point you have to focus is more objectivity. Right? Now, let's move on to the next. Elaborate. Elaborate is big brother of explain, you can say. Okay. Like, if you are explaining some concept to someone, you have to explain further, and that is elaborate. So it is explain the issue in detail, right? Because, and you may find this even elaborate is also kind of descriptive command word. It is also kind of descriptive command word. Okay? Provide in-depth explanation of all aspects in the issue. For example, as far as the question is concerned, like policy mechanism, challenges, socio-political implications, long-term consequences, short-term consequences, conclusion. So basically you are going into explaining everything, right? So explain is more detailed report, more detailed analysis, right? So it entails everything. Then extensive explanation. I hope this is clear. Now, next is adding critical to command words. Now, many students are confused. Why they are confused? Because according to them, what they say, if suppose question is without critical, right? Then you are not supposed to write challenges or issues. You are not supposed to address both the sides of the coin. It is wrong, students. Okay? Because all the keyword, tailwords which we have discussed, they are already critical command words. So that means you have to address both the sides of the coin. But when the critical word is used before this critical command words, basically it adds another layer of critical analysis. Another layer of critical analysis means it's just about depth. More depth in the answer. That is what it means critically analyze. For example, let me give you one analogy, right? If suppose I ask you, suppose you are a student, okay, and I ask you, can you analyze or can you discuss your preparation? Can you discuss your preparation? So what are you going to discuss with me? You will start telling me, sir, I'm doing daily answer writing. That is good. I'm daily reading newspaper. That is good. Right? However, you are going to tell me, sir, there are some issues as well. Right? I'm not able to prepare the good notes. I'm not able to revise on a daily basis. Right? So, if I asked you to discuss only, so you are going to talk about some positive aspects of your preparation, some negative aspects, right? Now, I am going to add critical word. Can you critical discuss your problem? Now, I would expect you to explain me, sir, I am not able to prepare the notes. Why? If you are not able to revise on a daily basis, why? I am going more into the depth. So just telling the problem is not the demand. Why the problem itself? Why this issue is coming? Tell me that. And without critically analysis or discussing, do you think you will be able to convey me or convince me why you are not preparing the notes? Then you will start thinking critically, why I am not able to prepare the notes? Then you will start realizing, man, I don't know how to prepare the notes itself. I am confused, right? So this is critical thinking, and that is what it means when the UPSC asks you to think critically, critically discuss, critically examine, critically analyze, critically comment. I hope this is clear, right? So I will not take much of your time. I hope all the keywords are clear. If you have any doubts related to the answer writing, especially, if you are a senior batch, if you are from the senior batch, please visit to our office and you can talk to me directly. I'm personally and the team, we are discussing the answers of students, right? So based on that, you can assess the level of your preparation. So I will be coming up with such more videos, right, where many of you face the problem, whether it is tailwords, notes making, PYQ analysis. And if you have any suggestion, or if you want me to prepare any or if you want me to conduct any discussion like this, which you think is value addition in your preparation, definitely you can put that in the comment. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this session, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.